Hello, everybody. I'm back for episode 4 of The Last of Us, and what is there to say? Joel is still dead. Ellie and Dena are in Seattle, and that's pretty much it. Maybe, on second thought, there were a few really good beats in this episode. We get introduced to Isaac, the leader of the WLF. He's played by Jeffrey Wright, one of the handful of actors who made the jump from the game to the TV show. Isaac was once a Fedra soldier who offed his entire unit in favor of aligning with some rebels. I did like this entire sequence because you get a very good idea of who Isaac is in very little screen time and what he's about. The episode shows you these things about Isaac rather than tells you. And Isaac is a ruthless, merciless leader at war with the Seraphites. But he's also willing to spot, I guess we could call it potential and promise in other people and give them a chance.
Now make your choice.
We'll see how this show's version of Isaac unfolds in the coming episodes. I will also say I liked the scene with Ellie and Dena in Seattle where she finds the guitar and sings a little bit of Aha's Take On Me. Straight from the game. Definite game fan service. I enjoyed it. But as I said, Dena and Ellie are in Seattle. They're still looking for the WLF, and they find the nearest thing to a neon sign you're going to find in the zombie apocalypse. Giant letters WLF spray painted on a TV station satellite dish. I like that Dena is the level-headed one in this episode who talks common sense into Ellie as Ellie's raring to go into that building guns blazing. That would have ended badly. Instead, they hunker down for a bit and come up with a plan. When they do get into the TV station, they are met with something straight out of a nightmare. The Seraphites who we saw in the last episode have eviscerated the WLF who were at the TV station, hanging their gutted bodies from the light fixtures. As they marvel in horror at what's going on in Seattle, the WLF reinforcements show up and Ellie and Dena need to escape. Here, once again, we get a disappointing fight scene between the tiny Ellie and a guy who has at least 100 pounds on her. I really wish these fight scenes would be more realistic, where Ellie would use the environment, her knife, and her stealth to her advantage as opposed to trying to strong-arm a guy and beat him that way. It was a missed opportunity, but girl boss is gonna girl boss, and we can't have a girl be weaker than a man or fight differently than a man in contemporary television cinema these days. I wish they would have handled it differently, but Dena and Ellie manage to escape and they flee the WLF into the Seattle subway. As a quick aside, I appreciate the fact that Ellie and Dena's horse, named Shimmer, just kind of disappears in this episode, rather than the horrific fate it met in the game.
In the arms of the angel, fly away from here.
Anyway, once in the subway, the WLF show up again and drop a bunch of flares as they're hunting for Dena and Ellie. Those flares, just like the pipework in Jackson, trigger the cordyceps network and call in a massive horde of infected. The WLF become dinner, and Dena and Ellie flee the horde in what is actually a fairly decent chase sequence through the Seattle subway. But as they're trying to escape the subway, Dena and Ellie get stuck in a rusty turnstile, and Ellie has to sacrifice her arm and her secret immunity to save Dena. I've already talked about that scene from the game with the spores, but here's where I will say the show did a very good job. Dena sees Ellie get bit and, rightly, wants to shoot her in the head. It's exactly how someone in this world would react, and it's why that scene of Ellie from episode 1 where she was screaming about being immune was stupid and out of character. Joel shot an infected Eugene sometime between the end of season 1 and season 2, which made Catherine O'Hara's character hate Joel. Getting bit in that world was a death sentence. If you are bitten in that world, if the cordyceps doesn't kill you, the survivors are They're not going to let you turn and rip their faces off. It's just the reality of that world. So for Dena to hold Ellie at gunpoint because she was bitten, really well done. And I appreciated that entire sequence. But, and you knew there was going to be a but, all that good work is undermined immediately in the next scene. Ellie survives the night, Dena confesses that she's pregnant, and then they make out. Come on! Because of reasons. It makes no sense in the flow of the story and felt wedged in and forced. And this is where the show runs into its biggest problem, tethering itself to the story in the game. Kind of off topic, but tangentially related, I recently watched Chernobyl, which was a show that was written and created by Craig Mazin, who also has worked on The Last of Us. Mazin is a very good storyteller, so I want you to imagine with me for a moment a different plot line in season 2. Instead of killing off Joel in the second episode, the whole of this season is devoted to the years between the end of season 1 and the start of season 2. We get to spend time with Joel and Ellie to see their relationship evolve. We get to see them live together in the house in Jackson as a pseudo-father and daughter. They go on adventures. They learn to live in civilization again. We slowly get to see Ellie struggle with her purpose, her immunity, and realizing what Joel did in Salt Lake City and how she has to come to terms with that. We can see her move out of the house and into the garage, something that's mentioned in a throwaway line in episode 1. And in between all of this relationship building between Joel and Ellie, we get to see bits and pieces of Abby, her childhood, her dad, her time with the Fireflies. These two stories could run parallel to one another, simultaneous father-daughter stories, and it all builds up to that night in Salt Lake City where Joel kills the doctor. And then we realize that doctor is Abby's dad. Then we cut back at the end of season 2 to Abby, and those scenes from the first episode come in the season finale, where we realize she's in Jackson seeking Joel and out for revenge. And then in the season 2 finale, Abby kills Joel. Abby would be a more sympathetic character. Joel would have more screen time. That emotional heart of The Last of Us, that relationship between Ellie and Joel, would be built up, fleshed out, given the time it deserves, some room to breathe, which it didn't have in the second game. From watching Chernobyl, Craig Mazin is a fantastic storyteller, and he could have taken those little seeds that we see in flashbacks in the game and turned them into beautiful episodes, like they did with episode 3 of the first season between Bill and Frank. It would have made a world of difference for the non-game playing audience, and I think we would see better reception to this series going forward. Because I don't see how non-game audiences stick around to watch the rest of this unfold. The emotional core of the show is gone, Joel is dead, and now this is 2 episodes where we haven't seen him even in a flashback. And frankly, audiences aren't sticking around. According to the website Prime Timer, there was a 31% drop in American audiences from episodes 1 to 2, with a slight rebound from episode 3. But viewership is down from the premiere. At the time of looking for this recording, I couldn't find solid US viewership numbers for episode 4 yet. But on Rotten Tomatoes, the freshness score of The Last of Us has dropped to 49%, which now officially makes it rotten territory, and its Metacritic ratings have gone from 6.3 to 4.1. We've also seen a drop in the IMDb ratings from episode 2, which is up 9.4, to episodes 3 and 4, which are 7.4 and 7.3. Respectable numbers, but that's still a significant drop. Episode 4 ends with Ellie and Dena realizing they've landed in a city at war. The WLF and the Seraphites are battling it out, and they risk getting caught in the crossfire. Despite the risks, they decide together to move ahead with the plan to find Abby. Will audiences move forward with them? We have 3 more episodes to find out. Sometimes serendipity smiles down on you. I had intended, as always, to post this video yesterday, ran into some technical issues, and I'm glad I ran into those issues because while I was editing the video today, it turns out that HBO copyright struck the Critical Drinkers channel for his video that he posted a couple days ago about why The Last of Us is falling apart. You see some of the videos discussing it on the screen right now, and here's Drinkers' post about it on Twitter. It's not the drinkers' fault that the ratings are going down. It's not drinkers' fault that Rotten Tomatoes score is now 49%. This all goes back into the fan criticism of the show. We had concerns about the show because we had concerns about the game. Trying to silence the critics is not going to change the audience reaction. I had 3 people come to me after the second episode saying they were done with the show because they were unhappy with the choice to kill off Joel. That's not a decision Critical Drinker made. That's not a decision I made. We have valid criticisms, and creators of shows need to listen to them. And I hope YouTube does the right thing and removes the copyright and lets Drinkers' video repost to the website. We'll see what happens with that. We'll be back next week after episode 5. Quick programming note. Still working on some technical issues with the live stream. As soon as I get those hammered out, I plan to start a weekly live stream as well. So keep watching my channel for information on that. In the meantime, as always, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to click like and subscribe, and don't forget to share this video. In the meantime, take care of yourselves.